Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Bob Stewart. I'm excited to have you here. My friend Cavin Weber is with me. Cavin, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. Thank you for asking, Bob. So
All right,
excited to be here.
cool. I'm excited to have you. We're excited to have all of you guys. I'm gonna share my screen here with you, and while I do that, I want to just do a couple house cleaning items before we jump in here and start talking about what Cavin and I wanted to chat with you guys about today. I want you to go right now, find the GoToWebinar control panel on your desktop. And here's what I want you guys to do. Tell me, just check in for me. Let me know like where you at in the country right now. And then what is like, how you feeling? All right, Cavin, so you tell me, buddy, how are you feeling about all of this? Like, these are uncertain, crazy times. Tell me how you're feeling.
It's really a day by day moment thing for me, Bob. And it's important that sometimes as the leaders of our family, we always have to put on the strong face. And so I'm trying my best to be the light. I don't remember where I heard that. It's something that I heard just recently in a webinar, and I just love the way it sounded. I keep telling myself that. Whether or not I am the light, you're going to have to ask the family members that I'm going to be here with for the next couple of weeks. But I'm doing my best, and it's really day by day experience. And thank you for asking, Bob. Yeah, how are you feeling?
I don't know, I have mixed emotions. Somebody on here, who is it? Latricia said it's a lot of mixed emotions. I agree. I'm the same as you, right? I want to like lead my family and inside of our companies be a leader and somebody that just is choosing to focus on what I can control. And but it's mixed emotions, man. We're right here in the epicenter of this thing, right? So that the first outbreak of this that and the first case of Debs at the Life Care Center in Kirkland, Washington is about 6 miles from my house. So and it's real here. Our state hasn't been closed down yet like California has in terms of like shelter in place. But it feels like we're close. They're setting up, these emergency like hospital locations. It's a lot, right? And so you try to stay focused on these things you can control. I love somebody said that, but that's what. So there's ups and downs, right? You're gonna have times I think where you're feeling good and times where you're not. So let's talk about, Cavin. Let's jump in here for a little bit today, and we've been doing this in Washington, guys, now for a couple weeks. And it's been, every day things are changing, like Cavin said, and it's a day-by-day deal. And we're just adjusting as things are changing, right? But one thing I know, our agents on the Ben Kinney team, they're still out there. We are still out there talking to our clients, trying to find out how we can help them and what they need. And we're almost doubling down on those efforts. So we're going to share with you guys some of the things that we're doing today to navigate this crazy, changing, chaotic time. And it's not even like, it's so early. The market, Cavin, isn't necessarily changing yet, right? We're not seeing like these crazy shifts from buyer to seller markets necessarily, but like the way we're doing things is changing. And then obviously just the environment in which we're doing it is changing pretty rapidly. So excited to have you guys. Lots of people checking in from all over the place. Some of you guys are just said, I'm confident and I'm feeling good and I'm staying positive. And some of you guys are saying, you're nervous and all of those things and everything in between, I would imagine. So, Cavin, as we get ready here, let's tell them what our promise is. So, guys, we promise that we're going to share with you these tactics that we are actually using, that our teams are currently going out and putting into play. And in exchange, we want you to promise us something. Cavin, what do we want them to promise us?
Well, one, I'm going to promise them that we're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of energy in this webinar, as you can't tell already. And we're going to hold to our promise. We're going to ask you guys, just write down as you're going through those things that make you excited. And at the end of the webinar, we're going to ask what are the 2 or 3 things that you can put into action right away, or the 2 or 3 things that you really want to start working on, because The reality is right now, today, we can start new habits. There's things that we can do that we've never done before. And quite honestly, these are things that aren't completely just unknown to people. People have done it for a long time. So let's look at some new ways of doing things, and maybe some things we've done, we're just going to do them a little differently.
So what is going to happen, right? Like, we don't really know, but what we do know is there's going to be some uncertainty for a little while, and then look, eventually things are going to get better, right? At some point that this thing will pass, right? And I have full confidence that, as a country, we'll come together and this thing will pass. But we don't know when, right? And that creates a lot of uncertainty, and that uncertainty creates chaos. It creates stress. It makes us feel like we've lost control, right, Cavin? Like, how do you feel when you feel like you just don't know?
What I found interesting about this slide, Bob, is that, we really don't ever know. Things are always going to be uncertain. Now, gosh, not this uncertain, but we always have to have ourselves prepared for the unknown. That way, we're not making rushes to the grocery store. We're not trying to figure out our database. So I find that that uncertainty has always been around us. I just don't know if we've taken it as seriously as we are now today.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that, Cavin. You're right.
Yeah.
Anything can happen tomorrow. It doesn't, not just in the context of this. That's a very,
yeah. The terms always say the sun will always come out tomorrow. Maybe not. We don't know that. So we got to be prepared.
And our suggestion is what? Let's try to focus on what we can control. And so, Cavin, for me, on our teams, as I meet with and I train and I talk to our teams on a daily basis in the Ben Kinney world and our expansion partners, one of the things we know we can control is our daily activities. And this is something that we spend a ton of time focusing on when we're not in uncertain times, even though Cavin would suggest, and I don't necessarily disagree, that might always be the case. We're in uncertain times, but we know we can control the effort and the output that we put into our business. How many calls did we get in today? How many open houses, or in this case, virtual open houses, did we do? How many videos of home tours did we post to Facebook? Like, what are the daily activities that we know lead to success? We control those. And I was talking to Jake last night. He runs our Sacramento team, and I said, because they just got shut down, their whole state, right? They're on like shelter in place, and I'm like, Jake, how you doing, man? And he said, you know what, Bob? All I can do is I can focus on filling my pipeline up for when this thing breaks. He's like, so we're going to talk about what they're doing, but he knows that tomorrow when he gets back into the office, if he doesn't do the work, it's going to set him back whenever this thing breaks. Anthony Zapata, who is the new team lead on our Bellingham location, said to me in a webinar 2 weeks ago, every day of prospecting that I lose sets my business back a week. So he knows what his goals are for the year, and he knows every single day that it sets his business back a week. It's a 50th of his year that he's lost by 1 day of prospecting being lost. And so we're not going to stop our daily activities because we control that. We can still do that. Cavin, what else?
Well, if we're looking at number two, what you choose to focus on, there's a lot of people today that are literally getting hours back in their day because they're not in traffic. Now, when I'm in traffic, I can focus on that person cutting me off, not using their blinker, or not merging correctly, which is just that thing that drives me nuts. Or I can focus on those things that are important, my family, the road, the things that I can do to make traffic better. Now today we have a whole different type of traffic we're going to be dealing with. It's a social media traffic, it's news traffic, it's just stuff that's all around us that we're going to be able to have the opportunity to look at, focus on, or find other things that are more positive that are going to bring us value rather than those things that take away energy.
So I'm let's be honest. Ready for an honesty question, everybody? Like, how many of you guys get caught up in that cycle of reading about this thing? Like I do. My wife posted something on Facebook the other day. Like, does anybody else's husband just read apocalyptic news articles out loud? And like, I'm prone. I just like to know about things, right? Like that's just my nature. I'm inquisitive. I like to know about things, and so I'm reading as much as I can. And I probably a week ago I realized like I gotta stop. I gotta stop. Like, and so at this point, because I want to stay informed, I just each night I block about 10 minutes where I give myself the time to go in and absorb the news about what's going on, right? But I can't. I've stopped doing it throughout the day. Before I was doing it throughout the day, and I was focusing on it, right? And it was clouding my judgment. It was clouding my feelings. And so I realized I need to focus on something else. So what you focus on becomes your mindset, right? So we can choose to focus on things to have a better mindset, and we control our mindset. If you guys, it's kind of good timing, but we have a podcast that we started with Ben Kinney and Chad Himes and me that's called Win, Make, Give. You can you could text podcast to 59559 if you wanted to, or you could just go to if you were like Apple, go there and text or search Win, Make, Give. It's all about mindset. It's all about what you focus on. It's all about leadership and health and wealth and legacy. But if you need something to take up some of your time instead of focusing on the news and all the stuff out there, right? Because look, there's never been a better time for the media, right? Because they're just putting this information out there, and I think a lot of people are consuming it as fast as they can, and it pollutes your brain. Not suggesting that you shouldn't be informed, because I like to be informed too. Cavin, you like to be informed, right? Like you're one of those guys that I feel like I'd bring up any subject, and Cavin knows a little bit about it, so you stay informed. But man, this thing could consume you. The last one, who you surround yourself with, Cavin. Like, why is this important right now?
Again, well, I think the reality is that some of us don't really have a choice of who we're surrounded by right now, which is that's okay. Hopefully it's the ones that you love most. I couldn't be more happy to be around the people that I'm with right now today and will be with for a little while. So I'm totally okay with that. Now, again, it's a whole different type of surrounding. Am I going to surround myself with negative comments? Am I going to surround myself with news that's not bringing me value? Am I going to surround myself, and you kind of stole my thunder, thank you for that, with people like Ben and Bob and Chad through Win, Make, Give? Am I going to be listening to podcasts that bring me value? This is the time to start new habits. If you've never listened to motivational podcasts, start looking it up. YouTube is filled with them, so go find yourself one that's a favorite. I actually am sending everybody the Win, Make, Give podcast text number, so you just got that in your chat module. So do that along with these others. So it's who you surround yourself with virtually now, and then of course who we're going to connect with, which we're going to dive into a little bit deeper.
All right, so we gotta stay focused on some things that we can actually control. Funny enough, one of those things that we do have a great amount of control over, Cavin, is our expenses, right? So we got to figure out what your monthly expenses are. At this point, if you're in business and you haven't done this, and this is the reason why, or is the impetus for you doing this, awesome, do it, right? Now, shame on you in some ways for not having done this before if you're running a real business, but what are your monthly expenses for your business, your personal, and then obviously Uncle Sam? I think they extended your tax filings. I think that was announced today back to, you don't have to file now until July, but
July.
Is that right, Cavin?
That's correct. 90 days.
I've got, like, my wife is an accountant and an attorney and 5 million other hats that she wears in our house, so she filed ours already. But that's obviously amazing news for a bunch of us, right? But what are your monthly expenses? Get those in line. And here's how and by the way, we don't Now we're doubling down on this, and our yellow category is becoming, we're becoming a lot more aggressive in our yellow category in my own family, in our business, in the Brivity business, in all of our Ben Kinney expansion team businesses. But we do this, look, we try to do it in a perfect world, we do it every month. Now, once a quarter is the reality of how often we do this. Most agents, if they're lucky, do this once a year. They do it around tax time, right? But we come in to our P&L statement once a quarter. I wish we did it once a month, right? But once a quarter, and we highlight. We've got 3 highlighters. In fact, when we do these live win, make, give events, this is one of the things that Ben talks about is expenses and keeping them under control. And we actually give you this this highlighter that's got 3 colors: red, green, yellow. So you just red. I can get rid of that thing, right? Expenses that don't lead to revenue in the business, I can get rid of them. Maybe it's Canva or it's some marketing tool that I use that it doesn't directly lead to revenue. Yellow. Can you renegotiate, find a cheaper option, or potentially consider cutting? Okay, and you highlight that in yellow. So we're going to come back to that one, right? That's one we're going to work on. Red, we're getting rid of. Green, I can't live without it. So if it's leading to revenue in my business, right? My CRM, for example, probably not going to get rid of that one. Right, my MLS dues and some of that stuff that you guys like, just the cost of doing business, right? Green. But that yellow category, we highly encourage you guys, get out there, see what you can renegotiate, see what you can find for cheaper, or in some cases, understanding what is your monthly nut, Ben would say, right? What do you have to cover each month? You got to get that in line. This is how we go about doing it. And guys, listen. The funny thing about this, Cavin, is a lot of the stuff we talk about today is stuff that we should be doing all the time anyway. It's just we have maybe a little bit more time to focus on it now, right?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things we've done is that we have an orange. Red and yellow make orange. So I'm kind of gonna just not show you. And then you've got your blue, your yellow and green make blue, and you're gonna you got to do these 3, and that's it. And you got to make these decisions right now and make smart decisions. Yeah.
Hard, and sometimes hard decisions, right? Like don't discount the fact for yourself that some of these decisions for you will be hard. All right. Yep. So one of the things that our team is really focused on is reaching out to the people in our world that matter, right? So and we're trying to do this around data-driven conversations. So, Cavin, I've shared with you as we were getting ready for this the story of my mom. So my mom, you guys, are a real estate agent. She runs the Ben Kinney expansion team in Olympia, Washington. Now she moved down out of Tacoma down to Olympia, and she had about 3 days ago. I talk to my mom all the time, but I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, Mom, how's it going? Like, are you down at the canal, like just kind of bunkered up in the house, or are you up working? Like, what are you doing?" And she said, "No, it's going crazy right now." She said, "I've got 4 listings that I got to get on by the end of the week." So this was Tuesday, 4 listings by today. And I'm like, seriously, 4 listings? And she said, "Yeah, what I did." She's like, "Look, I got this big database." She's like, and she sent me the text. I should actually read it to you guys. I'll give you a synopsis of it. But she sent a text to a bunch of sellers that people she's been working with, right? And look, in our world, in Ben's world, the way that we do business, we've generally got a number of people that we're nurturing, right? Past clients that might be considering people in our sphere, seller prospects or leads, right? We're always nurturing stuff. And she had reached out to almost every seller that she was nurturing to give them her experience of what has been happening in the last 2 weeks. So about a week ago, she had a listing that had I think it was 12 offers on it. And we have a crazy market in Seattle, right, guys? So her listing had 12 offers on it. sold for $36,000 over the list price, something like that. 1 week later, a couple of days prior to her sending this out on Tuesday, over the weekend, okay, she had a listing, 5 offers. So still, right, really good market. I mean, I think any of us would love to have 5 offers like the first weekend, but down significantly from the week before. Right. And now, is this like anecdotal data? Maybe, but this is just her story. And look, she said in there, I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's happening. These are really uncertain times. She was really upfront. My mom's like, she's a super blunt lady, right? But she just told them, like, this is what happened. This is what I've seen personally in the market with my own listings. 4 of those 4 people immediately within the day reached out and said, Gail, we don't want to wait. We want to get it on. They're smart enough to see, like, look, we're going to list anyway, right? It was going to be soon. It was going to be later. It was going to be sometime this year. Those people are going, right? And, 2 of those people, it's their rental properties that they're getting rid of. But she's just using the data. So on all of our teams, and we have 30 locations, guys, I think, around the country. We have gone out and designed just like marketing pieces, Cavin, right? That show marketing. I mean, their data pieces just show, like, here's what the market did last month. Here's what it did. Here's what's doing this month. Actives, pending, solds. We're even doing it in some areas like Seattle weekly. Here's what last week looked like. Here's what this week looks like, just from a data perspective. Because here's the reality, Cavin. Who are most people going to be getting their news from about the real estate market? And really, it's not even finite news about the real estate market. The media, right, Cavin?
Yeah, that's right. They're going to be telling you what's happening without, it being in a local area. Yeah. So things can be happening, but that they don't have that local. You don't really hear local news talk about the local real estate market. You hear national news talk about the national real estate market.
So our listeners today, right, are the folks that took the time to join us. You guys have a chance to become kind of that mouthpiece for your market, especially with your past clients, your sphere, right? But even the people you're connected to socially, you have a chance to become that mouthpiece, right? You have a chance to tell the story, because listen, lots of people are going to be telling the story of the economy over the coming weeks and months. Okay, lots of people. You guys have to take command of the story of your real estate market, all the way down to your neighborhoods, right? And all the way down to the cities and the towns that you guys live in.
What's interesting, Bob, is that right now it's kind of expected that people are going to be pumping out a lot of information, right? And it has to be expected that people are going to be consuming that information because they're home and they're not, doing other things. So they're consuming the information. So a lot of people are going to Facebook and reading and finding out. This is your opportunity, once again, to become that local expert, to provide that local information, to keep them informed. I personally don't think this is the time for us to be doctors and nurses and physicians and giving medical advice as real estate agents, because that's not what our profession is. Our profession is to provide local information. Now, that could be what clinics are open, where you can find local goods, having opportunities for elderly, getting care and goods. This is just literally a gold mine of opportunity for us to take advantage of and come from contribution, even more importantly.
All right, let's talk about lead generation, which it kind of feels, I don't know, like the empathetic, like highly emotional, intelligent side of me, which there's a whole nother side of, I think, all of us, but would say, like, you don't really look at this as like this opportunity for lead generation. It's not, okay? But people are doing, like, real estate is transacting. At the height of the crash in 2008, there was still 4 million houses that sold in 2008, right? Like, people buy and sell real estate still, and we're at this crazy time. Listen, we've seen a pretty significant increase to the traffic on the websites in our network across Brivity users. Okay, like, people are out there. They're bored. People like to look at real estate. It's a time for us to get them into our into our funnel, right? And look, they might not buy anytime during this thing that's happening, right? It could be a year from now or 2 years from now, but it's a good time for us to get in there and think about the activities that we're putting in. So we have, listen, and the reality is we already do a lot on Ben Kinney teams. You know, we make 150 dials a day. We do 2 open houses every week. You know, we have a crazy aggressive way that we follow up with our Spear and our past clients. I don't know that we're going to be able to 10x what we do. Like making 1,500 calls a day is going to be, you know, probably, but we have this goal of 10x. We just know that we're going to try to do more than we did last time. It might mean another hour of call time. It might mean another hour that I put in to my following up my past clients, my Sphere. Look, where's that hour going to come from? It's going to come from the time I didn't have to drive to the office and back, right? Like that's the extra hour right there. It's going to come from that. Cavin, you and I were talking about this the other day. Like you go into the office, if you're in there for, you know, let's say some of you guys maybe go in half the day and then you're out in the field half the day, right? That 4 hours, like how much of that time is spent talking to, you know, your coworker? Probably a third of it. I don't know, a quarter of it. So an hour, right? So you're saving an hour driving in back and forth to the office, or maybe you live closer and it's not quite that much time. And you're saving an hour chumming around with your coworkers, right? That increased time right there into your lead gen, going to be a big deal. Cavin, why is that routine so important?
Well, I mean, we're most productive in the morning, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's just a scientific fact. We're most productive in the morning. Most people are also most receptive in the morning. So we want to take advantage of that opportunity. So it's always been a strong lead gen time. Was it 9 to 11 has always been the time that most agents put the sign on the door and they're really just buckling down. You know, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on, but we can't change the way that we do things because we're now in a home environment. Protect your morning routine, put it on the calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
Guys, check in for me right now. These are crazy times. How many of you guys, like, your routine is totally just upside down? I mean, in many ways, my wife and I are like paddling upriver with a busted paddle, trying to keep but we are paddling hard to keep our routine in order, right? Like we've got a family that's able to help out. We're hiring a babysitter to come in. Our kids' schools are shut down. Like we are doing everything we can to try to put a bunker around our routine so that we can stay productive in our business, right? So yeah, the daily schedule is totally messed up, feeling out of sorts. It's totally, the routine is upside down. Like guys, we don't know how long this is going to last. So a lot of us are almost creating a new normal. Look, and this isn't going to be our forever normal, right? But my wife and I talk a lot just in our personal life, you know, like when we had our first kid, and then when we had our second kid, and now we've got 2 kids in diapers, and 2 kids in diapers became our new normal. That wasn't going to always be our normal, but that we had to shift into that being our new normal. Whatever's going on right now, this is your new normal. Now it might only be your new normal for, you know, super realistically the next 3 weeks, you know, less realistically the next 3 months, and who knows, right? The next year, but this is your new normal. So you guys have to build a routine. You can't sit here and think, this is, you know, when I can just get back to my routine. We don't know when that's going to be, right, Cavin? Like, Cavin, am I off base there, man? Or should we be thinking about how to make our new normal and realize it's not going to be our all-time normal, but, you know, is that kind of the way you're positioning things in your household?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm positioning it for the long term. It's not somebody very eloquently, one of my clients talking to them said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I mean, that's been heard. And David Wiggs, one of our leaders, I think just brilliantly put it, this isn't a snow day. Like this is an avalanche. And we need to just prepare to just hold ourselves in until we're dug out, and we don't exactly know how long that'll be. So we have to be prepared for the long term, whatever that is. Now, long term, you know, you take it a couple of weeks at a time, and every day you want to try to just do something else to get yourself a little bit closer to that preparation.
All right. So people will be stuck at home. They're gonna be bored. Call them. This is I. It's not tongue in cheek, guys. So we did on Wednesday night. Our Seattle Everett teams did a call night. We called into our past clients in our sphere, and so we're a little bit ahead of the rest of the country. Like we haven't been under shelter in place orders here, but we've had everything's been closed here for the last 5-6 days, except for grocery stores, like bars and restaurants closed, and any public spaces closed for the most part. Like 4 or 5 days in, people are restless and they just want to talk to somebody. Like I'm answering phone calls I never would have answered before. Those two teams, Seattle and Everett, and we've got teams all around the country doing this. I was talking to Tamara, our leader. She said they've never had more people answer the phone. Okay, they've never had more people answer the phone, Cavin. So then, what are they saying to them?
Well, we have a. It depends who we're talking to,
That's
of
right.
course.
That's right. Real quick.
And the thing is, go ahead, Bob.
When we're calling our spirit, our past clients, this is what we're talking about with them. Right? How has this changed? But listen, the first thing, Cavin, I would say is like be a human, right? Like you're calling to see how they're doing, right? How is this affecting them? Do they need anything? Is there anything you could help them, like any resource you could help connect them to? Like, how are they doing, like mentally, right? Physically, like that's what you care about first. Okay, like we're all in this together, right, Cavin? Like now, after that, right? It's hey, has this changed your real estate plans for the year? And this is a script, what are your real estate plans for the year that we use with our database all the time, right? If we're calling in July, it's what are your real estate plans for the second half of this year, right? If it's in January, it's for the whole year. Right now, it's how is this changing your plans? Okay, but Cavin, talk about this idea of like, there's no blanket script in this scenario, right? Like we're trying to figure out what.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing is people. This is why we need a database. This is why we need a CRM. Like this is the number one reason why you want to not only have a CRM, use your CRM, and this is the worst time to get rid of a CRM or even switching, because we have to look at what we have today. There's always ways of migrating both, but right now today we have to use our CRM and then use the information that's in it, because in that database is information for us to talk about things outside of real estate or things that can even bleed into real estate. I mean, the reality is right now I have a buyer and I have a seller, and I'm talking to them both like, hey, listen, now if you were worried a little bit about your credit, a few points of your credit, I bet you go talk to your lender right now, see what kind of programs there are. We have no idea what's happening. I'm talking to my seller, listen, there's people like this buyer that is just ready to go. They just needed that little bit of help, and this might be the thing to help them. Outside of that, then we start just regular conversations, and we use the notes and the things that we have diligently kept track of. One more thing, Bob, when we're doing this, we want to use our CRM. We want to use our CRM to make the calls. We want to use the CRM to text. We want to use the CRM to email and to keep track. That way, we're not having it in 4 and 5 different places, and we have everything that we need right there at our fingertips, and we have record of those conversations.
I think about because you guys, especially when we're talking about your past clients, your sphere, like these, even like some of the prospects, seller and buyer prospects or leads in your world that you've heated up a little bit, right? And that you've been having conversations with, even though they're not currently a client. You guys know what's going on a lot of times with those people, right? Or like Cavin said, a good database is gonna, help you remember the notes from the last call you had with that seller prospect that you otherwise wouldn't even remember. But what should you be talking to them about, right? Maybe it's a great time for somebody that's got a bunch of their retirement in the stock market to consider moving some of that into a rental property. Maybe it's just a great maybe they bought 4 years ago with you, and you know that interest rates are low enough that it'd make a ton of sense for them to refinance. Some of these conversations aren't about helping them buy or sell. Some of these conversations might be about helping connect them with your lender so that they can refinance, right? And listen, I don't know how many of you guys on this call are Keller Williams, or if you have a program like the Keller Mortgage, but what a great time to be reaching out to people and offering them a no lender fee, mortgage, or at least letting them know it's an option, right? To refinance. And I think we had a slide there a little bit ago that said, like, on the data-driven conversations, like, be in daily contact with your lender so you know what rates are, so that you can speak intelligently as you have these conversations with your client, and at what point, if they're telling you they got a 5% mortgage rate, and where mortgage rates are at today, right? Some even the math challenged amongst us could generally figure out how much savings that is for somebody, or your lender could help you do that. So you're really just trying to figure out, like, what am I talking to these people about? Why am I calling them? But I promise you, they are stuck at home and they are bored. Okay.
Call them.
Now, yeah. The other thing with these leads, prospects, people, we more and more of us are getting to the point where it's not a good idea. We can't just go physically meet with people, right? In California, like, you're not going to be able to do this. So we got to start getting, like, technology involved, right? Zoom, you guys. So Zoom has a free edition where you can have an up to, I think it's 45-minute session between you and somebody else on Zoom, just one-to-one. If you want to have multiple people on a Zoom call, then you have to have a paid version. Or if you want to have longer sessions than 45 minutes, you have to have a paid version. But listen, there's right now on our teams around the country for Ben Kitty, because a lot of our teams used to have paid. When we went through the red, yellow, green exercise, we zipped the paid down to free, and now we're just on 45-minute. But we're using this. We're using this to talk to our buyers and sellers, to talk to our current sellers who are kind of freaking out a little bit and wondering what's going on, right? We're having daily, guys. We're talking to those people, right? Because we got to keep those deals we have right now together. So we're talking to our buyer prospects, right? A lot of what we're doing, where we would have met them at Starbucks before or asked them to come into the office, we're doing on Zoom. Cavin, what other kinds of things could I be doing off of leveraging Zoom?
Well, I think it's one of the things that's super exciting is that this is our opportunity to do something that we should have already been doing, because people couldn't always meet with us. We have all kinds of information in our head as real estate agents, and I've been teaching agents this for years, Bob, is that we all have something special about us that we know inside of our head. And I tell them, if I could just sit here and how many things could you tell me about real estate off the top of your head? They're like, I don't know, 100. Okay, well then that's the information that people need to hear. So it's really pretty much everything that you know. And when we can keep it local, then it becomes something that you can share in your community. But again, this is something that we should have been doing, and heck, if it's something you've been wanting to do, now's the time to do it. This is a good new habit to get into. Figure out how Zoom works, get your room set up, watch videos on the best way to have the information, to have it displayed properly. All of that is vital. It's super important, and now's the time to do it. This concept of asking for referrals throughout the listing and sales process, I want you guys to write this down right now. And Cavin, maybe you can chat this out to everybody. I want you guys to go look up The Promise by Mike Hicks. Mike Hicks is a real estate agent in Idaho, and I've never heard of anybody that has more of a market share in his local market than Mike Hicks does. And his entire business has been built on referrals from his past clients. And he does this thing called The Promise, and it's amazing. And I would be doing it a complete injustice if I even tried for you guys. So I want you to go look up. We're just going to kind of blow through this one. I want you to go look up Mike Hicks, The Promise. There'll be a video that you'll be able to find out there of Mike delivering how they do the promise and how they prime their clients, buyers and sellers, to make sure that by the end of the transaction, that person has referred them at least one other buyer or seller. It's amazing stuff. He does a really, really good job with it.
and he's built a massive business, guys. They did over 400 transactions. He's in a small little Idaho Falls, Idaho. Like, it's not that big, and he has a pretty dominant market share. The Promise, Mike Hicks, and Cavin hopefully could send that out to you guys.
Hey, Bob, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with him the YouTube on YouTube interview that you and Ben did with him. Would that be good?
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, he delivers it like a champ in there. That's fantastic. Cavin saved you the Google step. I love it. I love it. Okay.
There it is.
Cavin, can you come follow me around in real life, and just like when I say something that needs to be executed on, you can just make it happen?
What I do?
That's what I am for my wife, by the way. Like, in our house, like between, I just follow around and she points, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
People don't realize that I'm Bob's work wife. That's
all right. Open houses. So, guys, we can't do them. Our Northwest MLS here in Washington State, we can't do open houses. They've been shut down at this point. So we have a thing on the Ben Kinney team where we have to do 2 open houses every week. So what are we going to do? Well, here's what we're going to do. Instead of having full out open houses on the weekends on a Saturday where we would normally have, we're offering showing hours. And so what showing hours is it just, we will schedule individuals who want to come in and walk through the house in a safe environment, right? With Lysol wipes and all the stuff that we need to do to make that environment safe, with proper social distancing techniques where the real estate agent is staying 6 feet away from that person and following all of the guidelines of the CDC. Or they can come an agent with their, or a buyer with their agent, but it's going to be times where people are going through the house. It's not groups going through the house. We've got all sorts of guidelines around, like one parent at a time, and if you have a kid, they have to be holding the child. So we are setting up a way that's not just, because in Washington State right now, we're not supposed to have more than 10 people in a space. Okay. Our open houses these days have been getting more than 10 people. And up until last weekend, we're still getting more than 10 people. It's unsafe. Okay. So then Northwest MLS shut it down. We're now doing some combination of showing hours or going virtual. And Cavin, talk to me for a second about going virtual for an open house. Like, if I've never done this before, like, where do I even start?
I mean, to get started, you want to use a good your cell phone that has HD. Most cell phones can handle that. And there's, you could do Facebook Live. There's a few options that you would do that. I would recommend that you do what's on the screen here, is to do a dress rehearsal. Have some people watch it first. Do a recording. Maybe purchase some equipment, get some stuff from Amazon to you as soon as you can, so that you have some of the appropriate equipment. It doesn't take a whole lot, but we do want it to look, we want it to look good. And the more we do, we want to learn from those mistakes and try to perfect it. Again, YouTube's got all kinds of great videos on how to record on your cell phone, or even other recording materials.
You know what, guys? If anything good comes out of this in the real estate industry, I think this is one of the things that should come out of it. Like, I just watched this morning, my friend Scott in Virginia, him and Nanette had gone and they must have had, by the way, like, one of the things that I might consider investing a small amount in would be like one of those hand holding stabilizer things for your phone, Cavin, where it eliminates all of the kind of, the wiggle or whatever in your phone, and it really
I've got all the toys, video. All the toys.
Yeah, you've got those for sure. Because when Scott and Nanette did this video, you could tell it was smooth, and they were doing it on Facebook Live. I stopped and watched. I'm like, hey, this is like, here we go. We're going to talk about this. It was just this morning. We're going to talk about this later on the webinar. So I watched them. I think Nanette was behind the camera. Scott was navigating the tour, and they moved through the house. And one of the things he was saying, if you guys have any questions, you want me to see a room, you want me to stop and explain something, just type it in there. I'm sure Nanette was looking at the stream on Facebook Live as so she would have probably thrown the question over to Scott. Right now is the time for you guys to learn how to do this, because listen, guys, if it's not in your area, it's coming soon. I promise you, you are going to be in this position pretty quickly. And so if you don't figure it out, your sellers aren't going to get the exposure that you promised them, right? So, advertising on Facebook, giving a date and time and some basic information. So this is virtual open house. Test to find the best time of day. It might not be Saturday like it is right now. Okay, we are seeing a fair number of viewings during lunchtime in the middle of the week, right? If somebody's really if somebody's in a position where they are actively hunting for houses, the weekends have no longer become their time to open house, because they can't anymore in our market anyway, right? So we want to get them open housing earlier in the week, and the weekends become the time where we do that scheduled showing, isolated showing for them to get in that house. We even have people that are now, addendums being written where we're doing, contracts are being written on these types of virtual tours and virtual open houses and virtual walkthroughs with the agent, subject to inspection of the inside of the home. So it's rapidly changing here. And listen, the thing you guys can't do is just stick your head in the sand and go, well, I'm just going to wait until this like, now's the time. Okay, and in some of your markets, if you guys get on this now, you're going to be way ahead of the curve, right? You're going to be a week or two ahead of the curve, because for whatever reason, you guys just aren't in the same, it's earlier for you than it is for us in Washington or California, New York, some of these other places. Cavin, why is this important? Why like kind of acting like I'm with people? Why is this important?
I mean, I don't know if I've said this. I've really started a lot of my sessions with this question, and the question is, what business are we in? Right? And that question's answered, oh, we're in real estate, we're in sales. The reality is we're in the people business, we're in the relationship business, and we have to keep our relationship solid. That's really what this is all about. That's what it's always been about. We just have we've let technology take over, and I've said this for a long time, and really this is a way now for us to get back into people's sphere, get back into their world, and include technology as a part of it. The thing is, they're expecting it today. Right now, they're expecting it. This is how we're going to connect. And honestly, a friend of mine said, hey, let's FaceTime. And literally, Bob, it knocked me off my feet. And I was like, oh my gosh, why haven't I been reaching out to more people and asking them to FaceTime? Because that's really what we're missing now, is that connection. So, it's just, we got to keep connecting. We got to keep the relationships very strong.
If I was going to make calls to my past clients in my sphere, why wouldn't you make them on FaceTime? Like, why wouldn't you just do it on a FaceTime call?
Right.
And then if they don't answer, you text them just like you would have texted them if they didn't answer your regular call. But if you, that personal connection of seeing somebody, right? Like Cavin, you and I, we do trainings online with people all the time. And there's a massive difference when somebody gets on there and goes, oh, my camera's not working today, or gosh, I don't have a camera. Like you can't feed on the energy. You can't see them nodding their head or rolling their eyes, right? We probably get both of those things, Cavin, in 50-50 chunks. But there's something extra in the relationship when you can see somebody on that phone, right? Now, Cavin, when we're doing these virtual open houses, if they're a Brivity client, they'll be able to use a text keyword to capture that information on people, right? So, you're doing your virtual open house on Facebook Live, and you say, listen, if you guys, if you'd like me to send you some information about our zero lender fee program, and send you, the recording of this tour, text, BK open house to 59559, right? That would be a keyword that we could set up for Ben Kinney's teams if they were doing virtual open houses. That keyword concept is something we call Quickly and for Brivity, and it's a tool that we offer to all of our Brivity platform clients. It's also something you can buy standalone, but there's the 5-second commercial to pay for this hour-long webinar. All right, let's see. So listen, if you're going to be doing open houses virtually, you're going to be working with clients who might not want to get out into a house that they think 20 other families have been through, right? You will have people that want to do something, but they don't necessarily want to get out and see, 5 or 6 houses today because maybe they're immunocompromised, right? Maybe they're in that high risk category group and they just would prefer to be at home right now, but they know they need to downsize from their larger house and get into that smaller condo. So what are we going to do with them, Cavin?
Well, we're just going to make sure that we got to make sure that we're listening, that we have all the information that we need from them.
We can do the same thing on a virtual open house with one person, right? Like a virtual open house on Facebook is, hopefully we get 5, 8, 12, 20 people watching right? The funny thing I would also think is, like, I wonder how many, like, on a Facebook, how many you'd get versus how many actually came into your open house. I wonder if, like, there aren't agents that end up after this, Cavin, going, I'm just going to do all virtual open houses now. I had 100 people watch my virtual open house, and when I used to do open houses, only 5 people came through.
That, the exciting thing, like you mentioned, that is that you hope to see out of this. Exciting thing is this is one more thing you're just going to be able to put into your toolbox.
Yeah.
Right. This is another thing that you're going to be able to add to your listing presentation. Hey, even if they can't make it, I have a system that I have in place to make sure that they can watch it virtually through the open house. There's zero limitations. In fact, that probably will be a big objection in your listing presentation. So now we have opportunities to not have a whole bunch of people come through your house without having a whole bunch of people come through your house.
Showing virtually. So just like we would do an open house, we could take one person, instead of being on Facebook Live, we're doing a Facebook Messenger video chat, or we're doing a FaceTime chat, or we're putting them on Zoom and we're doing a call with them on Zoom as we walk through the home. Zoom's great on your phone. So how would that work? So what Cavin and I, and this is what we're doing on our teams. So we would, Cavin's doing this down in, he's getting closer to having to doing this. You guys are still a little bit behind us down there in Austin, but you send them a list. Let's say you send them a list of the 10 houses that, and then you tell them to go out, drive around, drive through the neighborhoods, right? And pick the 4 houses that they'd like you to then go out the next day or this weekend or whatever, and you're going to do the virtual tour. You're going to walk through the house, right, with them on FaceTime on the 4 houses they picked, right? So what that allows you to do is them to go, hey, Cavin, back up. Get me a wider angle on the kitchen. Can you just pan from the kitchen through to the living room? I want to see how that flows, right? Cavin, go open all those drawers. I want to see if they're, all the cabinets. Are there any built-in cabinets inside of there? Right? I mean, very similar, again, to how you might do an open house and allow people to ask questions, but you're just one-on-one walking through that house, and they're just guiding you of what they want to see. You're calling out the things that you think are important. They're able to ask you questions and tell you to point the camera here or there or wherever.
And I like that better than just sending them a link to a recording that you just created, because now you're actually working with them. That's a buyer's appointment. That's a showing appointment rather than just hoping that they looked at it and were perusing through it. Now we engaged with them.
And just like you would do when you take a real buyer through a real home on these virtual tours, the last thing you're going to say as you get ready to be done with that house is, so do you guys want to make an offer on this house? Right? I mean, you do ask every single client on every single buyer on every single house that you tour with them when you're done, do you guys want to make an offer on this house? I hope you do. That's a real estate 101. All right. Listing virtually, Cavin. So, I mean, look, a lot of these things people were doing previously. Now, you'd probably have never just done a full listing presentation without being in their house, or many of us haven't, but break it down. Like, it's not that, like, the tools are easily available for us, right, Cavin?
Yeah, I mean, it's all there. We have we've had the availability to move PDFs back and forth and even have agreements move back and forth electronically. We eliminated fax machines all together. Like we've gone through this adjustment before, so we know what it will take in order for us to get something achieved. I've been doing this forever. I put all my stuff in electronic format, and in fact, you have a lot of CRMs that will allow you to do that. So yeah, this is stuff again that why haven't you been doing it before? And now's the time to do it.
All right, Cavin, virtual education. So we got people out there that, they've done home buyer seminars. Maybe they've hosted investment seminars. Maybe they've, brought a lender in and talked about, downsizing options and reverse mortgages, whatever, right? Whatever you've done live, or whatever you thought, oh, I'd love to do that live, you can now do these things virtually, right? The people are home and bored, right? Maybe somebody who's home and bored has just been thinking about how they can use their 401k to buy investment and rental real estate, or right, like, what can you do today? Who can you partner with today to create an event online to drive some interest in your business, to help your community? So just what do you have to offer, I guess, right, Cavin? I mean, is that what it kind of comes down to? What do you have to offer your clients?
Yeah, you literally just blew my mind, Bob, like you always do. And here's where it was, is when you said, who can you partner with? And the reality is we're a local business, right? Real estate agents are local businesses helping their local community. We have a lot of people out there that are also local businesses that can be a part of your real estate organization. They could be your vendors, your collaborators, and these are people maybe we've overlooked. Now is the time to connect with them. Let's get them all together. Let's have a session where we can all have a good a communication about what each of our skills are, the things we can bring. And it's not a sales pitch. It's here's the information you need. You have an air conditioning person that can tell people what to do because you don't want to necessarily have an air conditioner guy come in your house. I mean, all of these things are coming from contribution and providing value.
Love it. Okay. Remember, you'll need that way to capture people's information if they're watching your Facebook live with your lender about the whatever refinancing or some FHA loan programs or whatever it is, right? Like, you need to have that. You really need to figure out what is that lead capture opportunity. How are you going to take advantage of that thing to add people to your database? Now, let's finish with this. We're running over. We're on house arrest. For house arrest, Cavin, where are you at right now? Like, you have a really awesome home office. I've seen the backdrop of it. So you're in your home office. Ladies and gentlemen, right now I'm sitting on my bed, and the reason is because my wife and I have a home office too. But normally there's not two of us working here. So right now my wife's on a call downstairs in our office in the basement, and I'm upstairs on house arrest in my bedroom. Now, what are some of the things we could be doing while we're on house arrest, Cavin? Knock down some of these things for me real fast.
Yeah, I've been working from home for a long time, and this is the things I do. You got to make sure that your workspace has everything you need so that you're not making trips back and forth to get those things that are required, your water, your coffee, your snacks. So supply it, make sure it's stocked, because every time we leave that desk is a time sucker, and then we can find ourselves doing things by number two. That's home stuff. So if I'm going to be downstairs getting a glass of water, I'm noticing the sink has a few dishes in there. Bob, I know you do the laundry for the family. You told me your secrets. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to get distracted by that home stuff. And then, of course, we have to plan our breaks. And we plan our breaks through the time that we're scheduling. If it's not on our calendar, it doesn't exist. So every single thing you do, have a break included in your calendar. And if the dishes need to get done, if the laundry needs to be folded or the floor needs to be vacuumed, schedule it out. Now you're getting things done. You're getting it off your plate. You're feeling good, and you're accomplishing those things that you have to. It has to be treated like a business environment, if at all possible.
And so then I'm going to lay up here in bed all day long, right, Cavin? And I'm just going to roll around in my own laziness, or no, I should get up and at some point get outside and do something physical, or or walk up and down your stairs if it's raining out, or guys, I work from home too, 4 days out of 5. This is really important. Like I've got a 2 scheduled breaks in my day just to get up, walk around, stretch out, get outside. Like if you've never worked from home before and you just get stuck in your chair all day, you're gonna find that come 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're just tired. And you guys, just the nature of being in an office and kind of the nature of this industry, you guys are kind of moving, day to day all the time, right? When you get stuck at home, you got to figure out some way to move. Seems silly, seems like, oh, nobody needs to tell. No, but I'm telling you, if you've never been a work at home person, it can trap you into that desk. Cavin, walk me through some of this stuff.
Well, I mean, this is a time to think about what we have. I mean, systems and models could be everything that you're doing. Go back, read those materials, read those models, read those books that are going to bring you leverage again, those things you might have forgotten about. This is no time to slack off on what we were doing. We're just going to have to do it a little bit differently. So just stay consistent, take more market share. We do sadly have people leaving the business. Well, that means more market share for us. And make sure that not only that the stuff that you have is updated, find out where there is stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's out there shared by people. Go get the best listing presentations. Ben Kenny has an amazing listing presentation. Go find those. Update your materials, especially, Bob, those automated emails that are going out. That's vital. Right now, we have automated emails that might be going out of our systems. Let's make sure those are updated to today's current events.
All right, we're going to maximize our use of the CRM, right? How are we going to be calling our past client in our sphere and connecting with people and trying to make more touches into our leads and 10xing our activities? It's going to be through your CRM. Okay, guys, please, 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 if you're a Brivity platform client, or even if you have these listing alert and market report tools, get them set up. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. I'll say it again. I'll say it again and again and again and again and again. Buyers, if they're a buyer lead or a buyer prospect in our world, they're getting sent listings. If they're a sphere past client, they live in a house and they own it, they're in our database, they're getting market reports. Any seller prospects, past client sphere, just every single person in our databases, we look at them from the idea of which one of these 2 things should they have. It's not should they have something or not. It's yes, they should, which one. And then we have to convince or talk ourselves into why they shouldn't have a listing alert or market report set up. So this is a great time to just spend getting that stuff set up in your database. And then look, if you run a team, inspect what you expect. Like get in there and this is a great time to dig in and see, how is my team working the leads that we pay for them, or just how are they working their business inside of my business? There's no better time to inspect what you expect than when you're locked in your house, you can't go anywhere else. Get in there. Now look, there's a lot of stuff here, okay? It's a fire hydrant. Any one of these things you could pick and choose to just say, I'm going to nail that, right? I'm going to nail becoming an expert and do amazing virtual open houses. I'm going to really just hammer how to do virtual showings for my clients, or I'm really going to dig in and 10x my activities in my database, or I'm going to go set up all my market reports or list alerts. Here's what I want you guys to do. You guys, if you stayed on this webinar, there was like this implicit promise that we made each other, right? Like, so what are you going to do? I want somebody type in, a couple of you guys type in, like, what are you going to do? You can't do all this stuff. And look, if you sat back and go, yeah, I need to do that all, you're not going to, okay? You're just, but you have to take action on something. Otherwise, you just wasted an hour, which I guess is fine. Like Cavin's a pretty funny guy. I'm boring, and maybe you just needed a nap. And so you're like, all right, I'm listening to these guys. So just get me into my nap. Maybe that's why they're even here left with us. What are you guys going to do? 10x or lead gen. That's awesome, Karen. That means if you made 20 calls, last week, Karen, you're going to make 200. Like, that's awesome. What do we got? Virtual open houses. Latricia's going to just continue to hammer into her CRM. And I think about this, like, and we'll leave you guys with this. Actually, I want one more. What do we got here, Kevin?
Oh, look at this one. Make a video with her mortgage broker. I love that. They don't even have to be in the same room.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect, right? Like, guys, every single video I've seen in the last week on Facebook where somebody's been going live, the least people I've seen on there are 8. So, like, at any time you can go on Facebook, fire up walk through your listing that you have, and 8 people at a minimum are going to be watching. Like, I'd be doing that every day. Now, if you need any of the tools that we offer at Brivity, and we talked about some of these things kind of loosely today, right? If you're interested in our quickly text service where you can create keywords for people to text when you're doing your virtual open house, text the word text tool to 59559. Our CMA market report tool, if you want to keep all your clients, your current listings, your past clients, your sphere up to date on what's going on in the market around them. That's our Brivity CMA tool. It's got a market report function in it. Text market report to 59559. If you're interested in everything Brivity offers and all of the stuff that our Ben Kinney teams use to run their business, text platform to 59559. If you're super busy still, and look, we have a number of our teams that are just that always need help in their business. They need leverage. If you need people leverage in your business, we've got an awesome VA program where we train your VAs for you. Text VA to 59559. And maybe you just need leads. Maybe you're like, I'm going to double down on my lead gen during this time because I know more people are at home, which means I'll potentially get higher conversion rates for my leads, which means I'll have more people that I talk to. Like, text need leads to 59559. Listen, you guys, thanks for taking the time today to come in here and just try to, I guess what I would call this is uncertainty proofing your business. We just don't know, right? Now, all of these things, like Cavin, let's put a big bow on this. In the very beginning, Cavin, you said and I thought this was really wise, I guess. There's a ton of uncertainty all the time, right? We don't really know what the next day is going to bring us in any given scenario. Now, it takes an event like this to really crystallize it and make us all kind of, realize it, right? But the reality is all this stuff we've been talking about, just like, any given day could be uncertainty. You could be doing any of these things we're talking about on any given day, right? So, Cavin, if it takes something like what we're all facing and what we're going to be facing in the coming weeks and months to help you form new habits that would have been impactful for you even if we weren't facing this, then bring it on.
We've done our job.
Yeah, bring it on. Okay, Cavin, I appreciate you, buddy. Listen, we're going to do this. If you just joined us late, we're going to do this again in an hour. So Cavin and I will be back here at noon, but you guys get to work. You made a promise. Keep your promise. We'll talk to you guys later. Jessica, Jennifer, Delaney, Sarah, some of you guys that are still here with us, I appreciate you guys on behalf of Mikey and Samantha and all the folks behind the scenes here at Brivity that make this happen. Thank you, Kevin. My name's Bob. We'll talk to you guys in a little while.
See you next time.